Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Good morning. This morning we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 28. 3, 4, 28. So we will start with just the Sanskrit in chunks. Raja Uvacha.
Raja Uvacha.
Nidanam.
Nidanam.
Upagateshu.
Upagateshu.
Vrishni.
Vrishni.
Bojeshu.
Bojeshu.
Adirata.
Adirata.
Yutapa.
Yutapa.
Yutapeshu.
Yutapeshu.
Mukya.
Mukya.
Sa.
Chu.
Katam. Avashista. Udava. Yat. Hari. Api. Tatyaje. Akritim. Tri Adisha. Okay. I'm going to do Sanskrit responsively. We're on 3, 4, 28. Raja Uvacha. Nidanam upageteshu Vishni Bojeshu. Adirata Yutapeshu Mukya. Satu Katam Avishista Udavoyad. Darir Api Tatyaja Akritim Triyadisha. Raja Uvacha. Nidanam upageteshu Vrishni Bojeshu. Adirata Yutapeshu Mukya. Satu Katam Avishista Udavoyad. Darir Api Tatyaja Akritim Triyadisha. Rajovacha. Nidanam upageteshu Vrishni Bojeshu. Adirata Yutapeshu Mukya. Satu Katam Avishista Udavoyad. Darir Api Tatyaja Akritim Triyadisha. Rajovacha.
Nidanam upagateshu Vishni Bojeshu.
Nidanam upageteshu Vrishni Bhojeshu.
Adirata Yutapa Yutapeshu Mukhya.
Adirata Yutapa Yutapeshu Mukhya.
Satukatam Vasishta Udavoyat.
Satu katama vishista udavoyat.
Darirapata Tyaja Akritim Triyadisha.
Darirapi tatyaja akritim triyadisha. We finally got something by the end, the meter. Would anyone online like to chant the verse?
Raja Uvacha
Raja Uvacha
Nitam Upakateshu Vrishni Pochesu
Nidanam upageteshu Vrishni Bhojeshu.
Adirata Yutapa Yutapeshu Mukhya
Adirata Yutapa Yutapeshu Mukhya.
Satu Katam Avashishta Udavoyat
Satu katam avishista yudavoyat.
Darirapitattyacha Akritim Triadisham
Darirapita jaja akritim triyadisha. Anyone else? We'll do the word-to-word translation. Raja Uvacha.
Raja Uvacha.
The king inquired.
The king inquired.
Nidanam.
Danam.
Destruction.
Destruction.
Upagateshu.
Upagateshu.
Having overtaken.
Having overtaken.
Vrishni.
Vrishni.
Of the Vrishni dynasty.
Of the Vrishni dynasty.
Bhojeshu.
Bhojesu.
The Bhoja dynasty.
The Bhoja dynasty.
Adirata.
Adirata.
Great commander.
Great commanders.
Utapa.
Utapa.
Commander in chief.
Commander in chief.
Utapeshu.
Utapeshu.
Amongst them.
Amongst them.
Mukhya.
Mukhya.
Prominent.
Prominent.
Sa.
Sa.
He.
Two.
Only.
Only.
Katam.
Katam.
How.
Aho.
Avashishta.
Avashishta.
Remained.
Udava.
Yat. Whereas. Hari. The personality of Godhead.
Personality of Godhead.
Api.
Also.
Tatyaje. Finished. Akritim. Complete pastimes. Tri Adisha. The Lord of the three worlds.
The Lord of the three worlds.
Translation. The king inquired. At the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, Nidanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means the highest, and Danam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore be called Nidanam. Apart from the grammatical elucidation, the real purpose of the word Nidanam is to indicate that all the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasty were direct associates of the Lord, and after the end of his pastimes, all the associates were dispatched to their respective positions in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elucidates the meaning of akritim, as pastimes. A means complete, and kritim means transcendental pastimes. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body. To act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world, the Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body, but the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Sri Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. But to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. The word upageteshu is also significant. All the members of Vrishni and Bhoja directly reached the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly, but the pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of the Lord have some attraction for the opulence of the higher material planets above the earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the Vrishnis and Bhojas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction for material planets. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also suggests that according to the Amara Kosha dictionary, Akriti also means signal. Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by signal to go to Badarik Ashram after his departure, and Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the earth. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Padaya Buddhalaya Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvashishta Sunyavadi Paschatchati Satarni. Hare Krishna. I'm glad to be here with you all. Here at Mother Malini's ashram. Online, we have Mother Malini is here. And online, we have Bhakti Devin and Bhakti Kim, Gajendra Prabhu, Anasuya Prabhu, Anandini Prabhu, Haladini Shakti Prabhu, and Rohini, my dear wife, Rohini Devi, my Devi. Right?
Devi, yeah.
That's right. Okay, and then, all right, so this verse, so this is Maharaj Parikshit speaking here. So last time I was giving class, I was talking about like scene changes, like in a movie when like it's like a flashback and then the scene changes. So yeah, because I think the last time I was giving class, then Sukadev Goswami was speaking, and then we kind of zoomed back in, since that class, kind of zoomed back into the conversation between Uddhava and Vidura. So like a little scene change there, Uddhava and Vidura. And then they basically, Uddhava and Vidura have just closed their conversation. And Uddhava has advised Vidura to go hear from Maitreya Rishi. And this has taken us months probably, but it's described as just a few hours of a night that this conversation takes place between Vidura and Uddhava. And then, so Sukadeva Goswami is kind of completing, Sukadeva Goswami, who's speaking in Maharaj Parikshit, is kind of completing this part of the narration, and describes that in a previous verse, text 27, the previous verse describes that Uddhava passed the night as if it were a moment, and therefore he went away. So then Uddhava's gone away, so he's kind of completing this narration. So now we're away from Uddhava and Vidura, and we're here with Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit on the bank of the Yamuna, on the bank of the Ganges or the Yamuna. That's also where Uddhava, oh no, okay, never mind. They were on the Uddhava and Vidura on the bank of the Yamuna also.
No, I remember.
Well, this translation says, or in the previous verse says, after discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. So they're also on the bank of the Yamuna. So, Sukadeva Goswami kind of completes that part of the narration of conversation between Vidura and Uddhava, and then Maharaj Parikshit asks a question. So Maharaj Parikshit asks, at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, after the ends of Krishna's pastimes, the Lord of the three worlds, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, and he describes that those members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties are the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? So basically he's asking, why was everyone left? Lord Krishna left, all of the associates left, and Uddhava is one of those associates. Uddhava is one of those pure associates of the dynasty of the pure devotees of the Lord. So why did he alone remain? So then Sukadeva Goswami will respond to that question, but in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving some explanation and sharing from us from previous acharyas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami specifically. So I appreciate this because it kind of, I can think of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada describes that it is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he's speaking about himself because in a humble way, he's speaking about himself in a humble way because, so I appreciate verses like this because I can imagine Srila Prabhupada, wherever he's translating this somewhere, probably one of his centers somewhere, and in the middle of the night, and he's in the middle of the night for us, for a lot of people, and then definitely for me, but for him, he's like engaged in this transcendental work. I mean, it's work. Like if you were to look at it, like it's so many hours of going through and like meticulous study and translating. It's like it's work. So it was like, of course, it's transcendental and it's Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. At the same time, we can see like he underwent a lot. That was a lot of hard work in a sense. Waking up in the middle of the night or being up in the middle of the night and doing all those translations. So I can imagine Srila Prabhupada there. He's reading these, he's doing like what he's describing here. He's following the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And of course, Srila Prabhupada says that these purports, these books were dictated by Krishna himself. And at the same time, like Srila Prabhupada is saying here, that he was following the previous acharyas. So he was following the line of the previous acharyas in the Parampara. And so he's giving specifically here can imagine from Jiva Goswami's commentaries and notes and Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentaries and notes, he's giving direct quotes from there. He's saying that Vishwanath Chakravarti elucidates the meaning of akritim as pastimes. Means complete and kritim means transcendental pastimes. And then he references that Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that according to the Amara Kosha dictionary, akriti means signal. So it's like according to Srila Jiva Goswami, Nidanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. So he's like, so I'm kind of, it seems kind of meta. It's kind of like meta for me. Like this is like Srila Prabhupada was actually doing these, this is his process. It's like a little window into his process, like his personal life, his personal spiritual life, and how he's studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, how he's reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then like an example for us that he's he's like, this is what he would be doing anyway, and his purports, and then he's like kind of giving the example of what it looks like. Well, here's what Srila Jiva Goswami said. Here's Chakravarti is kind of putting it out in the open, and then he makes the point, because basically he goes through some explanations. So we'll go through those explanations. So that because this can be kind of hard to understand, or it can be like have some doubts, fuel some doubts with devotees or people in spiritual life. People think about God. There's a common conception of God that is just like, well, we say of God is one. There's one God, but there's God is one, and then people can have like a limited conception of what that means. Like it's actually just one guy there, and then they have some limitations on God, that like, well, God doesn't care what's going on in your life because he's got so many other bigger things to do. So but at the same time, it's true that so God has more important things to do, like enjoying with the gopis and the cowherd boys. But it doesn't take into account that, well, just like we were speaking the other day about delegating kind of not as important tasks to others, or just not even doing the important tasks, but to delegating. So it's kind of putting some limitations in there, like, okay, so the supreme God, he's not going to be intimately involved in everybody's affairs of like, am I going to get this job promotion, or is this team going to win the Super Bowl, or is it going to rain today, or the crops need rain or whatever. So like it's like some kind of limited conception. It's almost like Santa Claus. It's like Santa Claus, like how can Santa Claus go to all those children? How can he go give toys to all those children in a year? Oh, it's magic. Or so. And then, so there's some kind of conception of like, of God as just being like one person, and it kind of all alone. He's just all alone. Maybe he has some angels that do a little bit of, so there is the concept of angels in Christianity, and so I think so there is something there about the angels doing work for the Lord, but sometimes, at least I hear a conception is kind of a criticism or something that atheists will bring up to say that, like, basically, like, how can God be responding to everywhere? So it's kind of like not recognizing the omnipresence, the omnipresence of God, and it's like some limited conception of God. So, so then whenever there's pastimes where God, or who we're saying is God, Krishna, seems to be having a father, having a mother, seems to be taking birth, seems to be dying, or leaving his body, leaving the planet, then that can raise some doubts, or like it's how do we handle this subject? So Srila Prabhupada describes that there's no question of his changing or quitting his body, because he's identical with his transcendental body. And to act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world, the Lord seems to take a birth or leave his body, but the pure devotees know well the actual fact. So Prabhupada describes that Krishna, God, is acting in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world. So I was imagining like the president or a ruler of a country may go to another country where there's different rules and customs, and he's not required to follow those rules and customs, but he chooses to. He maybe chooses to out of respect, or to honor the customs, or for some kind of diplomacy, or whatever the ruler may do. Or we can imagine like, this is like Krishna's pastime. So like playing with a child, and they have some kind of imaginary game. And there's like, they have some rules. Maybe they're playing, like a restaurant, or they're playing like we're having tea, or maybe maybe they're the king, they're the ruler or something. And so they're playing some kind of imaginary game, and then we may enter into that game, and we can follow the rules that they have in their game, and we can follow the customs of whatever it is, but we're doing it by choice. We're not like forced to. So we can see that similarly with Krishna, that he's simply acting in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world. It's not that he's forced to do so, and that's the distinction. So Prabhupada gives some kind of warning there that, and this is kind of like about preaching, or like the principle like preaching to non-devotees, or like being careful about describing the pastimes of the Lord to non-devotees, or something like that. This is kind of like the risk there, because he says to the students, to those who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of the acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. So he's kind of speaking, maybe like playing devil's advocate, that okay, well, someone may have some criticism that, oh, well, this is just semantics. This is just semantics changing it. Oh, as you're saying, Krishna's not actually leaving his body because his body is identical to the transcendental body, or he's just choosing to follow the customs and rules of the material world. So Prabhupada's giving some hesitancy there, that yes, that and he says the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. So if we're in the line of disciplic succession, that means we have some sort of faith, some sort of surrender, some sort of commitment to follow the Parampara. So for those who are students, who are devoted, who are committed, then these explanations are perfect. These are perfect, and these will support us to really understand the pastimes of the Lord completely. And at the same time, for those who are not devotees, they may have some kind of way to brush it off, or say, well, that sounds like just jugglery. So yeah, and then so the Maharaj Parikshit's question is specifically, why did Uddhava alone remain? So Prabhupada speaks about, well, Krishna's choice to leave his world, and so Uddhava, as a pure devotee, as a pure associate with the Lord, like he's certainly fit and certainly eligible to go back home, back to Godhead with the rest of the devotees there and with Lord Krishna. So how come he stayed? And so how come he's still there? And Prabhupada describes that he was ordered by Lord Krishna to go to Badarik ashram. And so and as a pure devotee, so that like the pure devotee's mood is not the ultimate pure devotee mood is not just to go back to Godhead, but to please Lord Krishna, to please Krishna, to please the senses of Krishna, to be pleasing to Krishna, and to be a servant of the Lord. So in this way, Uddhava is carrying out the order of Sri Krishna to go to Badarik ashram to transmit this message that Lord Krishna has given to Uddhava. So he's more faithfully, he's carrying out that order more faithfully and going back to Godhead, or the abode of the Lord. And so I was imagining Uddhava, he's kind of all alone in a sense. There's a question: why did Uddhava alone remain? So he's without Lord Krishna, he's without his associates, his family members. So I can imagine him. He's wandering. I mean, he's going to Badarik ashram, but it's a long walk. So he's alone, and just imagining with like comparing that to like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, so like Uddhava was with Lord Krishna and a personal associate, very very dear personal associate to Lord Krishna, and then Lord Krishna left, and then Uddhava has some mission to do, some message to transmit. He's going to the sages Badarik ashram. And then so I was imagining Srila Prabhupada also. Srila Prabhupada was with Krishna in Vrindavan, or at least the abode of Krishna. He's basically like being in Godhead, basically he's like being in Godhead and in Vrindavan and at the Radha Damodar temple, and his Bhajan Kutir. What was it? He's like looking out at Rupa Goswami's samadhi. And so it's like, it's a perfection. There's some perfection there. And so he left that to come to the West. He had a mission, but given by he was following an order. So Uddhava was following this order from Lord Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada was following the order from his spiritual master. And he was all alone. He looked like he was all alone. At least he was seemingly all alone coming to the West. So I was kind of imagining, wondering if Srila Prabhupada was feeling some empathy or feeling some connection with Uddhava, or I was wondering if he's feeling that or anything. Because his spiritual master was departed. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master was departed. And at the same time, we know Srila Prabhupada said that his spiritual master was always with him, and that he was never actually alone. But still, sometimes he speaks about like how it was hard. It was hard, and he definitely was without his god brothers, at least in that mission. And he's really very much alone in that. Okay, and then so I mentioned about like the hearing from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami, and like Prabhupada saying, it's necessary for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I'm understanding like Prabhupada's talking about himself. He's talking about himself following the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. And then, so to those who are not devotees of the Lord, they may these comments and explanations may appear to be grammatical jugglery, but to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. So some people use like verses, Prabhupada speaking like this to like take advantage, to like go back and Prabhupada's telling us to go hear directly from Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, so I'll go and read those commentaries myself. And so but I see that Prabhupada's, even in this, there's a warning there, because he says, well, to those who are not devotees of the Lord, so we maybe think, oh, well, I am a devotee of the Lord. So then, I can't, so it won't be grammatical jugglery to me. But even more specific, he says, students who are in the line of disciplic succession. Then the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. So I think we can understand that being in the line of disciplic succession means to be following Srila Prabhupada and to be hearing from Srila Prabhupada. And then we're getting, because Prabhupada already did the work for us. He's like, this is perfect, because it's an example of like, we don't need to go and maybe Prabhupada missed something from Jiva Goswami. Maybe Prabhupada, maybe there's something, because Prabhupada is very clear right here. He's giving us the notes from Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. He's like, here, there's 3 different times where he's giving us the direct note or the direct comment. So like, so Srila Prabhupada's done the work for it. That's what he was doing, like up in the middle of the night and translating. And like I was just talking about, there's like hard work. So it's kind of like, to me, I'm feeling like it's rather offensive or disrespectful, or kind of like taking it for granted, or like, oh yeah, you did all this work for me, but let me try and go see what I can find for myself. And of course, I know Dear Govinda says many times, I don't know if you have the same number, what did he say, 3 times, read all of Srila Prabhupada's books 3 times before going to like something like Jiva Goswami directly or something like that.
All of them.
Huh?
All of
Srila Prabhupada's books 3 times. So that's like a guideline, safe guideline. And yeah, so I get that's like that's how I'm understanding this. That's how I'm understanding Srila Prabhupada in his purport, is that he's speaking about himself, like it's like whenever he speaks about the qualifications of the spiritual master, or like how to make sure you have a bona fide spiritual master. Not necessarily to go search one out, but to like he's like humbly explaining, well, this is like how you can trust me. This is how you can trust me as your spiritual master, because these are the qualifications, and you can see, he's doing it in a humble way rather than like I'm the guru because of this and that. And so that's what I'm understanding, is that he's like showing that we can follow Srila Prabhupada. We can, because he's saying, well, for a serious student needs to study Srimad Bhagavatam by following notes in the comments of great acharyas, and that's what I'm doing. And he's showing that's what he's doing right now. He's giving examples, and so that's how I understand it. And then that and then giving the qualifications to understand the comments of Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakrabarti to be in the disciplic succession. And that's what we're doing whenever we're hearing from Prabhupada. Then we're in the disciplic succession, and then the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. So that's how I'm understanding this purport from Srila Prabhupada. And let's see if there's anything else that I want to express. So this, I was hearing from Srila Prabhupada. Oh, what was he saying? That's what we were talking about. We were talking about, just because Prabhupada does mention this purport about he's kind of touching on like, okay, disappearance of Krishna, and that the pure devotees know the Lord very well. the pure devotees of the Lord know that Krishna didn't actually take birth or leave his body. And so that's kind of speaking to this. I mentioned it earlier, that people maybe can have some limited conception of God. Like, okay, there is a God, but not a God who's going to like take birth or have parents or anything like that. It's like, God is the Father. And so Prabhupada was speaking about the different relationships and speaking about the relationship as with God the Father. And so he was talking about how if we have a relationship with someone as the Father, then all we're going to be thinking about is what can the Father provide for me? and that's the relationship of the child to the Father. Is like, give me, or what can you provide for me? What can you give for me? And then that's it. And so many people have that relationship with God the Father, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like taking shelter and being provided shelter. And it is true. And it is true that God is the ultimate Father, providing all that we have. And then Prabhupada was speaking about, but then the relationship of when we take the Father position, and then and the mood of the Father with God, and then it transforms, because then all the Father wants to do is give to their child. All the Father wants to do is provide and give, and is always thinking about, what can I give to my child? What can I provide for my child? So it's like a transformation of the consciousness. Imagine, and that the kind of paternal relationship to Krishna, instead of like, what can Krishna provide for me? What can I give to Krishna? What can I, what can I do? What can I do for Krishna? So that's, I find that to be very merciful of Krishna, to be giving that opportunity to his devotees, to his pure devotees, to have that kind of relationship. So that was just something I heard from Srila Prabhupada recently, and it relates to what he's speaking about here. So I'll read the verse one more time, and then we can answer any questions or comments or sharings. Raja Uvacha Nidanam Upageteshu Vrishni Bhojeshu Adirata Utapeshu Mukya Satu Katam Avishista Udavoyan Darir Apitat Yaja Akritim Triyadisha. The king inquired, at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. Welcome any comments, questions, sharings, realizations, anecdotes, memories.
I really do appreciate how you both share Prabhupada situation of also being a messenger, and living Vrindavan and the association of the devotees there, of everyone saying Jai Radhe, Hare Krishna, and everyone being conscious of Krishna. And he left the Vaikuntha really for devotee. Vrindavan and this kind of atmosphere is like Vaikuntha. And he allowed himself to live because of the order of his spiritual master, which is non different than the order of Krishna. To come and be with us and be alone, like being really single-handedly taking that leap. So that's special. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I like that. I wonder. I was kind of wondering, is Srila Prabhupada seeing himself? And if not, then we can at least see him there. And then, like, seeing himself in that he says, because Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was his cause of remaining alone, even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the earth. So yeah, Srila Prabhupada, as a pure devotee of the Lord, he was more faithfully carrying out the order of his spiritual master to preach in the Western countries than for his own, going back to Godhead, or he was in Godhead. He's in Godhead.
Yeah.
He's in Godhead. So, right. I think Hladini Shakti raised her hand briefly and then put it back down.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I appreciate your class, Parampara Prabhu. And the last point that you made about I really like it about the dad and the child, and like which role we want to take in relationship with Krishna.
Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense. And personally, where I am at, it's like practicing the opposite, to really learning to see Krishna as my protector and maintainer and shelterer and father, and how much he loves me and how much he provides for me. Maybe not necessarily in a way of give me more, but just seeing what's already given. Right. And yeah, I was reading this book from Anthony de Mello, and he said the real breakthrough in your spiritual life comes when you see how Jesus loves you. And I think for me, I was a lot into how much do I love Krishna, how much do I love Prabhupada, how much I thinking how much do I love them, which is not much, and I'm being frustrated. But then this other practicing, really seeing like you shared and Mother Malini shared, Shah Prabhupada, leaving Vrindavan and going alone to United States, and just see that, learning to see that, and then kind of allow myself to rest in that love, and not needing to do more. It's I feel it's really important for me in order to even get to that place to want to do something for Krishna and Prabhupada. Nice. The child, eventually when the child grows up, at least that's my experience with my parents, then eventually they see, wow, my parents have done so much for me, and now I want to also give something to them. So that kind of naturally happens, at least in healthy family relationship, which might be rare in Kali Yuga. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's rather than be focused on well, how much showing your love, and how much love are you feeling for Krishna and for Prabhupada, and then kind of being discouraged, well, I'm not based on results, I'm not feeling much love. I can relate to that well, yeah, I must not have much love at all, so okay, what's the point? And then, rather than going there, then just be kind of bathing and kind of taking shelter in all the love that is there and is showing up from Krishna, from Srila Prabhupada, just receiving that, the mercy, kind of being in that mercy. Yeah, that's very inspiring. Yeah, I think, and like you said, that hopefully the child becomes grateful and wants to give back. I was just reading from someone he's someone I see on Facebook, and he's it's inspiring because he's coming from poverty, probably not a good, didn't have a good father situation, and then poverty, and then he's focused on generating wealth for his family. That's where he's coming from. He's talking about financial advice and things like that, and he was saying, I'm doing this for future generations that I won't even ever meet, but they're going to be grateful for what I did. And I was like, well, that's an assumption. That's a pretty big assumption there. It felt like that to assume that they're going to be really grateful for what you did. So that's, especially in Kali Yuga, this age. So that's that's hopefully, and that's what I was hearing from you, Hladini Shakti, is that you're experiencing that gratitude, and in that relationship, God, like the Father, provider, and then you're
now with my real biological parents, I can experience that shift with my biological parents.
right. Yeah, you experienced that shift. Well, I was also hearing that. I was hearing that you're experiencing gratitude for all the love that you've received from Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, and with your biological parents. And so, yeah, so hopefully, so to be in that relationship, because what I think Prabhupada was speaking about, and at least when I was hearing that excerpt, was kind of like the God the Father relationship. Just what else can you do for me? You know, what else can you do for me? And I have direct experience of that kind of relationship with my children. Can you buy this for me? Can you order this for me? I just found this thing, and can you buy this for me now? And I really want this thing. And so I don't experience very much gratitude for all the things and ways that I am.
Well, I came there like when I was maybe like 35, you know, not like when I was 10 or even 20 or even 25.
Yeah. So 35. Yeah. Still got a ways to go. But yeah, that's what I was understanding. Probably I was speaking about that kind of relationship with, like, which I often talked about, is just kind of like order provider. God is the order supplier, and give me, and now I want this and this and this. And so yeah, I appreciate.
There's no gratitude.
And there's not, the gratitude is not missing. So I, in contrast with what I'm hearing from you, Hladini Shakti, is like, that's very inspiring. I resonate with that myself. That's we were actually I brought this up to Mother Malini relatively recently, that because I can have maybe it's just where I'm at or conditioning or whatever, to have just a relationship with God that's rather generic. Like if I'm like, oh God, oh God, please help me, then it's like rather a generic God the Father, but I'm not like necessarily thinking about, not necessarily Srila Prabhupada, maybe sometimes I maybe think about Jesus or whatever, but maybe it's like rather than like thinking about like Lord Chaitanya, like, oh, I really want to reach out to like Gauranga, Lord Nityananda, to like for their mercy, because to really a longing for them, or like so it's like but in what I heard from Mani, or I heard from you, that can come, or like the more that we're in this process, and then doing things like celebrating Lord Nityananda's appearance day, and celebrating his personality, and learning about his personality, and associating with personalities like Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda through Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's books and what he gave us, and bhajans and deities and pastimes and stories, then that will come. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, is that for myself personally, like, oh, okay, I can, this is where I'm at, and you can, God the Father, maybe impersonal or generic, and maybe I can see myself developing that kind of relationship with a more specific person, like Lord Chaitanya.
Jai. I just want to say one last thing. As you are speaking, I came to one realization, and that is like when I do take Krishna as order supplier, because I think it's different to like see how much he's already giving, and different to like asking for more constantly. Yeah. And I can see like when I am in this mode of asking for more, usually what happens is that he takes away what I wanted.
So it doesn't work anyway. Yeah.
So I had a realization as you were speaking. Hare Krishna.
Right. And that is a good distinction you bring up just there. That, yeah. So it's a distinction between like, oh, yeah, God, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya is providing everything for me. And I'm so grateful for everything that he's giving. He's just, versus the order supplier of like, yeah, I got this, you know, Krishna's going to give me more, or God needs to give me more. Maybe philosophically they're the same, like, oh, well, God gives everything, so therefore I want more. So, but there's a distinction there. Any other comments?
Yeah, one of the things, I'm thinking of the bhajan, but one of the things that the Lord sent us is the pure devotee. Lord Chaitanya is sending us Srila Prabhupada to give us the holy name. You know, he's the commander-in-chief of Lord Chaitanya's army. And so, like, we can look, of course, at the comfort we receive from God. You know, give me our daily bread, the daily bread we receive from God. And that's you know, wonderful to be there.
Yeah.
It's one of item of Sharanagati or surrender is to accept that the Lord as my maintainer. So we want to in order to surrender, we want to see like the Lord, my soul's maintainer, is my soul protector.
Yeah.
And then go further that like, yeah, I'm rotting here in this material existence. And Lord Chaitanya, he gives freely love of God. And the way he does it is by giving his commander himself to me. And then feeling that gratitude, and through feeling that gratitude for Srila Prabhupada, then we also connect with Lord Chaitanya. Yeah. Yeah. There is a bhajan you want me to read translation. It's really beautiful. It's by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he gives that, it's the idea of that. Oh Lord, with such a wicked mind as this, I have fallen into the material world, but you have sent one of your pure and elevated devotee to rescue me. He saw me so fallen and wretched, took pity and came to me saying, "O humble soul, please listen to this good tidings, for it will gladden your heart. Sri Krishna Chaitanya has appeared in the land of Navadvip in order to deliver you. He has safely conducted many miserable souls, such as you, across the sea of worldly existence." So, like, you know, Srila Prabhupada is giving us Lord Chaitanya because Lord Chaitanya can take us to fulfill the promise of the Vedas, the son of the Brahma, the golden complexion, and bearing the name of Mahaprabhu, who has descended along with his brother, the Avadhuta, together. They have overwhelmed all the Nadia with divine ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Gosai, who is himself Krishna, the son of Nanda, has served the world by freely distributing the gift of his own holy name. Go to him also and receive your deliverance. So the pure devotees go to Lord Chaitanya and get your deliverance. Not that we go to Lord Chaitanya for bread, but we go for him to like, I'm tired of this material existence. Hearing those words, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, hearing those words from the pure devotee, "Oh Lord, Bhaktivinoda has come weeping and weeping to the sole of your lotus feet and tells the story of his life." So we can do the same, like tell the story of our life, our entanglement in this material existence, how we took birth, how we have been so covered over, how we have chosen mindly wicked people to associate with, how we have been illusion that we can make ourselves happy. And then Srila Prabhupada is coming and saying, "For you, I have compassion upon you. I want to save you here." Lord Chaitanya he came 500 years ago just to save you. Just to save you. He's freely distributing love of God.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur? I appreciate that. What's the title?
It's where it is. Emana Jomati.
Amana Dumati. Anandini, as a comment, I was just going to say briefly before Anandini that I was appreciating the, yeah, you mentioned like, okay, so being grateful for the maintenance, being grateful for what God is providing, and then we can, but more so than like daily bread, like physical maintenance, like our spiritual maintenance, what he's providing to really save us. And that what he's really providing is pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Sinapati Bhakti, Sinapati Bhakta. That he's really provided Srila Prabhupada for us. And then so we can be grateful for what Srila Prabhupada has given and experiencing gratitude and for all that Srila Prabhupada has provided for us, and there's a lot of physical there too. We were talking about the other day that Prabhupada's program is good for health too, good for physical well-being and so many different things, mental and emotional. So be grateful for what Prabhupada has given to us, and I can imagine also there's like, just we're making the distinction between like, okay, recognizing God as the provider and being grateful for everything versus just wanting more or kind of demanding more. And I can see myself with Srila Prabhupada that there's cases where maybe I'm maybe in that mood of like the order supplier of like, well, I want something more. I'm asking for something, maybe some kind of realization or clarity or some kind of explanation or some kind of something. I'm like wanting more something from Srila Prabhupada rather than like really taking advantage and really taking advantage of what he already what is already given, or like I'm wanting something else. And I think that's kind of what was here. We were talking about for a little bit here about some people going directly to Srila Jiva Goswami or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's kind of like rather than just like fully taking advantage of and
what's given to us.
What's already given.
Yeah. Lack of gratitude, lack of really realizing what's given to us. I want more. It's greed.
Greedy. Yeah. Greedy.
But like a material greed, not a spiritual greed.
Right. Yeah, I can see myself maybe greed, laziness, or something like kind of, oh yeah, maybe I have some kind of critique, or I have some kind of, oh, I wish it was something was like this or something, rather than like fully going in and taking advantage of what is there and what has been provided. Anandini, you had
it's humility.
Being humble, humility. Anandini, you raised your hand for a moment, I think. Would you like to share or say something?
Yes. I'm appreciating your class and also the verse. I'm like sitting here and I formed an intention commitment to make new deity outfits for Gora Purnima. And because I did that last year and I didn't do it, and I wanted to do it for Janmashtami and Balaram Appearance Day, and it just never happened. And so now I'm really like spending every minute working on the deity outfits, and I was in a kind of complaining mood, like, oh, no one's here.
It cut out. I heard you said you were in a complaining mood, and then it cut out. The audio cut out.
No?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah. So as I was listening to your class, like, and the verse, and you were speaking about Srila Prabhupada, how he came here all alone, or he was, you know, translating all alone at night. I just felt some encouragement and some shift to, wow, it's amazing that I get to do these deity outfits. It's not that I have to. So yeah, thank you.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm glad. However, this class has created some sort of transformation or inspiration for you to do in your deity worship, then that's very auspicious. I must get some benefit for that. So I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Gajendra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, good morning. Yeah, just very quickly, I'm just looking at it. It's not so much whether one is asking something from Krishna. It's not like, part of asking is just understanding that everything is coming from Krishna, etc. But it is really just the place that we're coming from. It's like Srila Prabhupada is arriving in Boston. And he's saying, make me dance, make me dance. It's not like, oh yeah, he's just ordering Krishna to make him dance. Like, it's just really, what is the context? It's always going to come down to the context. I mean, it could be so, if one is being just selfish and thinking of oneself versus asking from the place of realizing, everything's coming from God. It's part of the relationship. I'm just looking really more deeply. It's not so much about, it's sort of bad to ask God for things, but just it's really natural, whether one is in the liberated state or even if one's not in the liberated state. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's just pious to approach the Lord regardless. So it's just really what's the quality of the asking.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between asking for something in just a really good way versus considering God as your order supplier. You're just ordering God around. I want this. It's just massively different.
Yeah. I appreciate that. What I'm taking from what you're sharing is it's natural. It's natural to ask for God. To ask from God. It's natural. And then it's like, okay, so then we have that tendency to ask for things or to be wanting things from God. And then so we can look at okay, what kind of things are we asking for, from God, and what's the quality of our, what place are we coming from in ourselves in our asking? And it was coming from a devotional, humble, grateful mood, and and knowing that we're completely dependent on the Lord, and then that's purifying. And then if it's maybe just not grateful, just maybe manifesting, I'm gonna manifest this thing, and kind of arrogant, then this not purifying. So I appreciate it. Prabhupada's asking, make me dance. So that's a very pure form of asking for the Lord.
It's very much that. And then the other part where just a lot of people just won't even ask God. They don't have any faith. They don't have any trust. They literally just don't even like God or don't believe in God. And so it's really a certain place on the path to God, just to even ask God for something, even if it is, some need on one's part. That God is just pleased that you would even approach God, as opposed to
Yes.
not having faith or trust, or
Right. So yeah, it's pious and progress. Yeah, from atheism and irreligion, denying God, and then it's a progression to recognize, okay, God's provided, so let me go to God. Well, I need, I want to get this job. I want to get this. I want to get this spouse, whatever it is. Then yeah, it's a progression. That I saw, people on something on Facebook, like people were saying, well, they replaced prayer with manifesting, and I don't like that. There's, because like the new age thing is like, manifest or clear intention. Clear intention, or that kind of thing. Like, yeah. Rather than prayer, because it used to be prayer. It's kind of like a Christian perspective. Like, they used to pray for things, and now they just manifest and forget all that. And I was thinking that even in that conception, like, if for those who are like thinking that they're gonna not recognizing the role of God, and either I'm gonna like manifest this, but even if like manifesting is like, it's usually there's some laws involved. There's like universal laws involved of like with the universe, like karma and like the universe. So there's something there. And even if like even for people who are thinking like they do so much, they're going to really create something out of their own hard work and endeavor, then it's like they're exploiting so many resources, and sometimes people or whatever. They're exploiting and using so many resources and so many things that didn't come from them. It's kind of like, no matter how staunch as atheist or whatever, still you have to acknowledge at some point, like, okay, well, I'm using these materials and some resources that I'm not the source of. So like, so even if it's like Prabhupada says, it doesn't matter if you believe or not, the universal laws are always in action. So even for those atheists, or then they're still receiving everything from the Lord anyway. So that's like how merciful the Lord is, that even if people they're kind of asking indirectly because they're like going and doing all this hard work, or they're like maybe manifesting, having some vision, some dreams, and the Lord is like providing for them also. So it's kind of like inconceivable, like so much mercy there, that even for like the staunch atheist, the Lord is providing bread and
well, it's providing what they believe too.
Providing what they believe.
Yeah.
Would you say more?
No, go ahead.
I don't know that. That was it. That was what I was saying, is that yes, so much mercy that even it's not that God provides to those who love Him and ask for it with love and devotion. He's providing for everyone, and then, but it's according to different qualities and different reciprocations. But
recently, someone asked me a question, and I will ask to you just for fun.
Okay.
And the question was like, I was speaking with a person very new to Krishna consciousness, but of course, the question that came is that I know a lot of people who have a lot. She have no money. She's who have a lot of money, and they have like fame and money and success, and everything goes so well for them, but they are so mean to other people, and they have no kindness, no compassion. And how come they have all this abundance and is at life when they are so mean and uncaring and lacking compassion.
Right. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so it's a good question. I don't have where I would go with that is well, who cares? They have a lot of money. That's what who cares? They have a lot more money, more problems, you know. So like, yeah, because it was universally accepted, or like at least acknowledged that. I mean, a lot of people still think, okay, well, at least a certain level of money, okay, that gives you relief from some like really bad problems of life, and then so you need at least some amount of money. But it's kind of like common knowledge that like, yeah, that money can't buy you happiness. And that you know, people can have so much money and be miserable, and it's not the true meaning in life or whatever. It's kind of basic. For once you get to a certain point. So if you don't have that realization, then okay, or that maybe not have the realization, but at least like to accept that like you know, money leads to more problems and more stress, and it's not it's not a solution. And so, and actually you can see that in their character, that okay, so that's kind of proof that if they have some in their character, they have some bad character where they're like, no, there's not compassion, there's not kindness, there's not you know, gratitude, then that's like that's kind of the result of their karma. That's the result of their karma. Because otherwise, if they were actually having good, if they're actually having good qualities, then that would be like proof of like their success, their success, and they're actually being like rewarded by God. So it's like we're not punished by sin. We're not punished for sin. We're punished by sin. So yeah, to have a lot of money, perhaps there's something in their karma with that, to have a lot of money. But then it's like if they don't have any good qualities, then that's kind of like that's their punishment for or that's kind of like the proof of like they are being punished in a sense. That's where I would go with that. What do you think?
I have a little comment to that, if I may.
Yeah.
Because I'm very conditioned by my good husband. So he says that there is no correlation between a lot of money and being mean. You can be just as mean when you have no money, or you can be mean when you have a lot of money. It's not like, yeah, there is no correspondence. And as you say from the previous karma, maybe you know that like, you know, let's have a lot of money for Krishna service. Like Srila Prabhupada was like representing that mood of like abundance for Krishna, like all the money of the world for Krishna. Or Hirakshaya Patra, right? There's so much opulence and abundance, is all for Krishna. 2.5 million plates to children every day. We have to have a lot of money to do that.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's no correlation between being money and being mean. Thank you, Hadini Shakti. Anything else? You asked me a question, but now you're not.
It's just questions. Well, I was trying, like, I was trying to be a devil advocate to like Krishna is providing for us.
Yeah.
And you were saying he provides for the atheists, even so they don't do anything for him.
Yeah.
So, it's just Krishna created a system. It's kind of a computer, a system with the law. You were speaking about the universal law and the law of matter and nature. And so, in a sense, within that system, he provides all the elements of that system. But after how those elements are distributed, it's really according to the activities and desire of the living entities. So there is that aspect too.
Yeah. Right.
Like the system is created, action, reaction, cause and effect from the causal ocean. And then there is everything is Krishna's external energy, and the internal energy is unsupplited like that. And so the distribution of the body is a distribution of wealth, the distribution of any of Krishna's energy is really created by the living entities.
So yes, like Krishna supplies, is maintaining, perhaps supplies the
machine itself, but then like the calculations within the machine, well, those are based on the laws. The laws, different calculations. So it's like, okay, well, maybe somebody has a lot of money, but they're a jerk, and then somebody else, they're really nice, have really good qualities, they don't have any money. It's like, it's just a different calculation. It's not necessarily that, okay, and a different calculation according to their desires and their needs and what we desire and what we deserve, and whatever is calculated. So it's just like, not that necessarily that person is being rewarded more than this person over here. It's just a different calculation according to, where they're coming from, their past activities, their desires. That's like, it's hard, it's inconceivable to understand what all those calculations come into it. Something like that. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.